Whether I should have looked at the camera and said that. What's up? So I really want to tell the story of being trans. What happened to me was, I got put in prison. I got attacked in prison. They could have killed me. And I knew it, and I felt the fear, the ultimate fear. I felt that, and ever since then, I've been unable to feel my emotions. I've been unable to have any boundaries. I've gotten into drugs because I needed friends, and like I say, I had no boundaries. Don't get me wrong, I don't regret getting into drugs. I had a good time, but the thing that strikes me is I really don't know how I survived having no boundaries. I really don't know. And boundaries is something that I looked at today. I was reading Till Swan's Anatomy of Loneliness, the part where it says about boundaries, and it says, like, if you act like this, you haven't got boundaries, and it describes what boundaries are, etc. So it's very relevant to me at the moment. And I don't want to just reel off everything that she said, but she says that your emotions are your boundaries, and if I, you, anybody, if we feel uncomfortable, then that is a boundary. Saying that emotions are very important. Though I can't feel all my emotions at the moment, and I can't force them. I've got to just wait for them to return, and I'm pretty happy with how things are going. I mean, somebody wanted to use me for money, I said no. Somebody wanted to push drugs on me, I said no. So, I feel there's a post on Tumblr and it says you are exactly where you need to be, you're not behind, and that's how I feel. I feel like I'm where I need to be. But my story of being trans, because I wouldn't feel my emotions, I would block out all my emotions. What happened was I would get a lot of abuse off people because they could sense that there was something wrong with me, and people really don't like somebody who is too soft. People don't like that, and I took a lot of abuse because of that. And in my mind, because I'd been attacked in the magistrate's court, that had made me feel that all human beings were the kind of monsters who did that to me. So every time, and this is my post-traumatic stress disorder, every time I would get a mean comment of someone just treating me mean because they think I'm soft, I would think they're doing that because they're a monster, and I would have such dark, such painful, emotionally painful feelings inside me, being mistaken about exactly where the motivation for that comment came from, and being trans was actually a very, very painful experience for me. I mean, I read The Completion Process by Teal Swan. I read it twice, and I wanted it to work in my life. And I just allowed it to sort of circulate in my aura and gradually sink into my being and heal me that way. I couldn't really get to grips with it reading it, I found it I found it hard. Um, Not hard as in like, oh, this isn't gonna work, this is never gonna work. I read it and I had the full awareness that this book is real and that it will heal me, but I knew that I needed just to allow myself time for basically for me to fix myself. And together with not having any boundaries, um there comes a feeling of being worthless. There comes a feeling of not being able to do any kind of job, not being employable, not being intelligent, not being competent, and all those feelings, and it comes with that. And that was a very I just want to make sure this is charging. That was painful to feel that I am less worthy than other people was painful. And I felt like people looked at me like I was worthless, because of, like I say, the way people treated me because they felt that I was weak. I felt that everybody looked at me and saw someone worthless. And I have to stop here. I absolutely have to stop because the reality is that people are generally good, and not to be too harsh on all the abuse that I went through in the way of like, in my reality it was abuse, you know. I'll just drink my coffee. Yeah, because of the abuse that I went through, the physical abuse, I felt unsafe every time I got on a bus. I felt like, because I would get these comments of people that were mean, I would get triggered when I went on a bus. It would literally make my life misery. And the way that people were treating me made me feel that I could never get a job, because if I got a job, I wouldn't be respected. I felt that if I had some friends, they wouldn't respect me. They would use me, because the friends that I've had have been users. They've just wanted my money, and they've treated me very badly. And that taught me that I can't have any friends. I can't get a job. Because of the way I was abused physically. I'm feeling that everybody is a monster. I couldn't trust anyone. I couldn't trust an employer. I couldn't trust my colleagues. I couldn't trust my friends. And that's pretty much my story of being transgender. I mean, for some reason, I managed to get out of that state of mind. And a big change for me was when I got full blown flashback from when I was attacked in the magistrate's court. And it changed everything. It made me see that. It made me see people more as people. It made me more aware that there is good in people, that people are generally good. It really healed me a lot. And it just did me a lot of good. And luckily, with the completion process, I have healed a hell of a lot. Now I feel like just a confident, regular person. I feel like when I'm out and about on the bus, wherever, I feel like people don't respond to me any different to they do anybody else. Um, I mean, there is an exception to that rule, which is when people are of a low vibration and they're jealous, they will hate, because it's a defense mechanism. It's for them to protect themselves from feeling um worthless. And it's actually a very good protection mechanism, because a person needs to feel self-love. Self-love is like one of the most important sort of spiritual exercises. And for that person to use hate to dehumanize that other person and to allow themselves to feel um more worthy, because I know it's delusional, but what they've done is they've seen the flaw in that high vibrational person. They've seen that flaw. It makes them feel good. It makes them feel worthy. It makes them feel self-love, and that's how I understand hate. But there'll always be people who will hate, and unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not sure what way around that really is. The higher vibration I get to, the more confident I am, the more intelligent, not in some sort of academic way, but just being a person who is like a good listener, a person who pays attention to what's going on, a person who is savvy and makes the right calls, and things like that. Um, and say again, confident, I own myself. I don't have time for snobs. I don't have time for I see a lot of the psychological problems that a lot of people have, and I don't have time for it. I'm not going to respect people who don't deserve it. Um, and the higher my vibration goes, there's going to be more people who get triggered and more people who give me abuse, but it's just going to have to be something that I handle. Um, and this is where I'm at with my transition. I'm just the same as everybody else. Um, just the same. Um, And that's my video. So I would just like to finish off by saying that I'm confident. I shine. I really do shine. And people must look at me. This is just self-love and positivity. People must look at me and say, wow, she's transgender, and look how she carries herself. Look how confident she is. Look how happy she is. Look how savvy she is. Etc., etc. So things have gone from a very dark place through about 8 years of healing to I'm not gonna be fake. I'm not gonna say like the I've got all the answers. My life is amazing. My life is pretty amazing, actually. But I'm not going to be fake, because I could do with more friends. I could do with more work. I could do with a lover, and all those things. But and I could also do with being able to feel my emotions more, and exercise my boundaries, really get into that, really allow my emotions to tell me when to put up a boundary, so that's my story of being transgender. It's a true story, it's fact, and clearly it doesn't apply to every trans girl. This is my story. And I hope you found it interesting, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.